The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Good evening, this is Paul Cooney at the end of a tumultuous weekend. It's the Scottish Cup final tomorrow with Scottish Gas. Dunfermline Athletic against Celtic. I just heard Louise there with the weather. Barry, you always say you love the sunshine and cup final day. Tomorrow 17 degrees, a bit clammy, isn't it? But I don't see much sunshine, but no rain tomorrow. Cup final 2026.
Yeah, every cup final I think I played in, Paul, was always a nice sunny day. And as you say there, you've shown Batty now.
That's right.
Weather.
Yeah, I've turned in. Well, I don't know much about football, so I'd try the weather. Barry, you've got a few medals, more than a few. Darren as well. I'm thinking back 2006, 2007, so 19 years ago was your day in the Hampden Sun to win the cup final.
Yeah, well, I think it was probably arguably one of the worst finals you'll see in terms of a spectacle, but ultimately it was, I'm going to butcher his name, but Pierre Doumbé,
Okay.
John,
That's right, yeah.
multi-barreled name, but anyway.
Who did you beat?
Dunfermline.
There you are.
Yeah, actually, just before we came on, you've just said it. Yeah, it didn't even click.
Just a few years before Dunfermline in the cup final as well, and it was Henrik Larsson's last game, wasn't it? And Dunfermline scored first, which seems to happen against Celtic a lot this season. Barry, in the cup final, we're going to hear from Neil Lennon and from Martin and Neil. It's really quite interesting. Neil's Lennon said, wait a minute, master and pupil. I mean, he absolutely loves Martin and Neil, gives him full credit, but he's like, I've been at Hampden 9 times in finals as players and manager.
Yeah, listen, he's an experienced campaigner, Neil Lennon. He's been there, seen it, and wore the T-shirt. And he's got a really good Dunfermline team there. They've had a good season, and what an achievement it is getting to the final. But when you get to the final, Paul, you want to try and win it. And I'm sure he'll come up with some tactical way playing against Celtic, because obviously Celtic are going to be red-hot favourites. But I'm sure Dunfermline will give them a game.
Darren, looking forward to it. Tomorrow you'll be there. I think you're going to be on the Beeb at night time, so we'll see you there. Trackside, not sure who you're going to be with.
No.
Looking forward to Cup final. There's something special about it.
Yeah, there is, and it is funny, Barry says that. I think every cup final you associate good weather, the sun shining. Listen, Celtic are undoubtedly going to be huge favourites, but it is interesting. I know you'll play it with Neil Lennon. I don't think he likes necessarily being the underdog. He knows he's the underdog, but he's not quite comfortable with it. I'm sure he'll be putting that into the squad. They're not showing up just for a day out. I think invariably when it's a championship team playing a Premier League team, there's this kind of natural kind of thing that everyone thinks is an inevitable Celtic win. I don't think he enjoys this at all. I think he'll definitely have his players fired up, that's for sure.
Partick Thistle won, St Mirren won last night, Barry. We were all watching it in different places. Oh my goodness, it's on a knife edge. Advantage St Mirren back at home on Monday night.
It is. Watched the game last night. St Mirren obviously get the goal in the first half, but I thought they looked shaky, nervy in the second half. And you've got to give Partick Thistle credit. I thought they pushed them. They got the equaliser, and this tie's not over. I'm sure quietly Partick Thistle will fancy their chances. I think the pressure's on St Mirren now. They're going to be at home. The crowd will be turning up in their numbers with an expectation. So I'm looking forward to the game in Monday, and it's a hard one to call, if I'm being honest with you. But with the second half display that Partick Thistle showed, I've got a sneaky feeling that they could get back into the Premier League.
Well, get your scoreline before the end of the programme. We're back on Monday night, the last 2-hour programme before the summer, but we continue in the build-up then to the World Cup. It was Killian Phillips, as you know, who scored for St Mirren last night. And the Jags had a bundle of chances, and then they got the goal. Aidan Fitzpatrick, 1-1. Great crowd last night. Good game. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I totally agree with Barry. I think the game, the second leg, will be a similar rerun to what it was last night. I think St Mirren will start well because they'll have the crowd. But invariably, when you've done what St Mirren has done, you have scars. You're not a new team. It's impossible to reset at that stage, as much as the manager might talk about that. And as a game wears on, it feels like those scars start to open up a little bit and St Mirren become a little bit more nervy. And if that happens at home, you can be sure as the crowd are going to become nervy as well. So I think if Partick Thistle can stay in it for the first half, which I imagine they will, I could fancy just about go with Partick Thistle as well.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say you can call us, but not tonight. The phones aren't on this evening, Barry. So I'm just announcing this to you and to Darren. You'll have to be in great form. You two always are. But we've got so much coming in here, I hope. From Martin O'Neill, from Neil Lennon. We'll hear a wee bit of Danny Rule as well, because it's end of term now at Rangers. Andrew Kavanagh said last weekend, it's Danny Rule at the start of the season, but he's outlined what he's looking for, more character in the team, more leaders. We'll discuss that with Barry as well. And also, I mean, it goes on and on and on after the last weekend. And we'll tell you the latest on it this afternoon as a disciplinary investigation from the SPFL. Robbie Keane has stepped down as Ferencváros coach, his head coach. Is that an indication? Or how can it not be Martin O'Neill offered the job, Darren? That's one of the things I'm going to ask you as well. And also your reaction. It's your former club Celtic, against all the odds. 250 days, Hearts at the top. It was their story all season, absolutely. Celtic had, 31 days? And it's in the last few minutes that they win it. But of course, since the split of the last 7 games, actually, all wins.
Yeah, I actually looked. The last 10 games, Martin O'Neill won 9 of them. Nine of them, not kind of drew 1, which is incredible. And in there was Dundee United, where everyone kind of thought, and I was one of them, I think Martin O'Neill himself thought it as well, that could have been it. But to win 9 of your last 10 games when you're under the most pressure, when you need the results, you deserve to win the league. Hearts actually won 6 of the last 10, so it wasn't like they kind of completely fell away. They drew 2 and lost 2, I think. I mean, 9 to win 9 of the last 10 shows you the job that Martin O'Neill's done. So, they're more than deserving of it, albeit it did take to the last, 3 minutes.
And Hearts, Barry, they went a bit off the pace towards the end. Did some great results, obviously the huge one against Rangers near the end, but they just didn't quite have the consistency they had for so much of the season.
No, they've done very well to stay in top of the league for the 250 days, but when it really matters and it comes to the crunch, they just fell at the last hurdle. I thought actually in the first half of the game at the weekend, I thought they were good. I thought they were well organised. Celtic looked a bit nervy, they looked a bit pedestrian. But look, Martin O'Neill does what Martin O'Neill does and makes the changes, and it makes a difference. And then obviously the last part of the game, Celtic really put the pressure on and obviously get the couple of goals. It
does show you, Darren, to get that equaliser right on half time, because Barry, I completely agree, you're always really fair. Hearts did look comfortable and all they needed was the draw, but when Celtic scored right on half time, it sort of maybe changed.
Without doubt, the goal, and it came out of nothing. Obviously it's a cross into the box, a penalty, but I mean, if Celtic don't get that goal, it's a completely different ball game. I thought Hearts were miles the better team in the first half. They locked up Celtic. Didn't have loads of chances, but he just left Austin Trusty on the ball. He was struggling to create. It was creating an anxiety through the team. Now, they played it really, really well, Hearts. But that goal was the difference maker, really. And Celtic got it. But Celtic have done this a million times, and it's actually incredible the amount of kind of last minute winners they've had. They've been down 1-0 down. They've been 2-0 down in a few games as well. Obviously, the Rangers won as well. It kind of nearly felt inevitable that Celtic were going to come back, just because none of it actually made any sense anymore with Celtic.
Yep.
But that's I think the Martin O'Neill effect, if you want to call it.
And that's it. Look at the substitutions, Barry, and he went to a back 3, and it made such a difference.
I thought Sarachi, when he came on, made a big difference. Bundles of energy. He's got that bit of aggression, as you said, Paul. There, he changed the shape. Yeah, it was a throwback to 20 odd years ago. That's the way that Martin O'Neill, that was when I come up against his teams, that's the way that he played. I thought James Forrest come on and certainly made a difference. But that's what you're paid to do when it's not going according to plan. That's why you've got a bench, and you want people to affect the game. And I thought his substitutions definitely affected the game.
We had a few Rangers fans on last night, really good Rangers fans. John was on, Justin, and they were talking about it, and they were saying about, well, Justin, I think, said Danny Rule, I'm not so sure, but we're going to get right behind him. John was also saying, let's hope next season how it could be better. But I asked him, I said, who would you rather in the Celtic dugout? Because Jens Bertolascu was on his way to Toulouse at that point. So I said, Martin O'Neill or Robbie Keane. What do you think? And I think they both, certainly John said, I don't want Martin O'Neill there. I'd rather not. There's something about that man just now and that spell that he's got in the club. They're going to have to make change. Of course they are, and build. But he's got a young squad round him with Sean Maloney and the rest of the backroom team. Barry, what would you feel from a Rangers point of view? Who would you not want to see in the Celtic dugout?
I said it to you on Monday. Listen, he knows the game inside out. He's experienced. Look, he's not got the same energy as he had 10, 15, 20 years ago. But what he has round about him, as you just mentioned there, he's got young coaches who have got the energy. But what he does know, he knows the club inside out, which is important. And I think if you look at the way that Celtic played under Martin O'Neill, it wasn't pretty in the eye, but he finds a way to win games of football, and that's the most important thing in the game. And he keep going to the end. And I think a lot of it is down to his experience. There's no doubt in my mind. So in terms of Celtic and a new manager, I would rather it would be somebody else, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah, because look, as I said to you, he knows the game. He's very experienced. And I think since he's come back for the second time, he's made a difference. There's no doubt in my mind.
And he likes you, despite the fact you chucked an ice pack at him. Which I like some of that chat. You know, all this full outrage we're getting. Everyone's going on about outrage.
I can't believe it landed on his shoulder. It actually landed in his shoulder instead of his shoulder. But I come off injured and Celtic had scored. And just with rage, I've just thrown it. But it's went the wrong way and it's landed on his shoulder. We can have a laugh about it now.
Exactly. Because there needs to be a bit of humour in the game as well. It's been a pretty heavy week,
but he
isn't
turned round at this stage and I just
Like
straight on
blame somebody else.
But he knew it was me.
Yeah. He was asked today, or yesterday, they met up at Hampden. And I think actually there was a mix-up with the timing. So Martin, I think, turned up late. He said it today in the paper. He says it here. He didn't mean that to be. He wasn't disrespecting Neil Lennon. But he said there was a bit of a mix-up there. And it came up about the master and pupil. So we'll hear Neil Lennon in a moment. But he was asked the question, has he spoken to Dermot Desmond?
No, I saw him. I think I told you, or maybe I didn't. I saw him for a couple of minutes in the tunnel at the game with he and his son Ross for a moment or two, and it's the first time I've spoken to him for some time. But I was not expecting anything anyway, and certainly not this week. And anything that we want to be discussing would be after Saturday.
May 22nd, the season's just about gone. I know cup final tomorrow, Dan, but you know better than anybody, being in the game, how you need to get things ready for next season. I know Yang has signed an extension to his contract, so business has been going on. What's your thoughts on it today about who's going to be in charge?
Hand and heart, I don't know. And for what Celtic need to do, you cannot. They need all the credit they deserved, and Martin certainly has taken a hell of a lot of it, and rightly so. And all the players and the club, by the way, because the club as a whole, the board, Dermot has taken a lot of stick. It's a club collective thing that have won the league. It's not just Martin. I know he's the front and centre of it, but the whole club deserves credit. In saying that, you cannot think that everything is fine behind the scenes and there's not a hell of a lot of work to do. I think that's obvious to everyone. There's so many different positions to fill. There's a hell of a turnaround in probably squad going to happen inevitably. So I do find it, I know there's a cup final, I would find it very, very unusual that this hasn't been borderline decided by now. Because I said it months ago, what was Martin O'Neill winning the league going to prove? His credentials as a manager? Absolutely not. Now, understand the good feeling of it and stuff, and sometimes that does make a difference. But the reality is they needed to be moving a long time ago. I would like to think they are. But I can't in my head think they are making a decision off the back of the cup final. So, I mean, it should invariably be done by now in their heads, whether they've had the discussions with the different people, it's a different thing. But Celtic as a club, I would imagine, are right down the line of deciding where it is they're going. What direction that is, I have no idea.
And I take your point about it's the whole club win it. But when you look at the board or whoever's in charge, Dermot Desmond, they did it despite their decision to allow Wilfred Nancy to come in and cup final.
I'm more talking about when we talk about, you're talking about an individual season. I think if you look across the last 15 years, there's going to be bad decisions in there. There's going to be good decisions. I think when you win, when you lose, it's a collective thing. I take your point. So yeah, I just more mean I can't understand. I couldn't envisage that Celtic aren't far down the line of deciding what they want.
Sure, but you're absolutely right. I mean, we often say that. Barry, what would you give for 14 out of 15 titles? So it would be stupid. It's silly to say, sack all the board and all the rest of it. So much that they've done, but they need to move on. And what's the planning for next season? I was about to say 08, but there's no calls tonight. Let's hear from them. And we don't want to bang on and on and on, but I will ask you about what you think of the coverage, because Martin O'Neill is speaking. He's asked quite a bit about it today. because that's we all said it when we came in. Let's talk cup final tomorrow. I want to play Neil Lennon. This was him. I think when people said, what about the pupil against the master?
I wouldn't. Well, no. I mean, this is my 9th cup final as a player and a manager. But he's had plenty of cup finals, not just here, but in England as well. With Leicester, Aston Villa, as a player with Nottingham Forest, umpteen European. He's won the European Cup. He's won League Cups. I think the only one that eluded him in England was the FA Cup, but he's won everything here in Scotland. So, if you want to call it master and apprentice, I get that, but I'm a bit old to be an apprentice,
Sure is. What is he, 53 or whatever? I'm not sure. I'm sorry, Neil, if you're a bit younger than that. But he is excited for this game tomorrow, and who wouldn't be?
Looking forward to it. We've had a really good week. I think the players are looking for it's been nice and calm. It's been a long time since the semi-finals, so there's no question that with the young players that we have, it's probably been always in the back of their mind. But the eventuality is coming now, so we're excited. We're excited as a group. We're excited as a club, and we're excited as a fan base as well.
And so he should be, Barry. Cup final up against Celtic.
And they deserve to be there.
Yep.
With the victories they've had. Aberdeen, Hibs. So, I think it'll be... There's obviously a bit of nerves going into the cup final. A lot of these players wouldn't have played in this type of environment. But listen, he's got the experience as a manager and as a player. They'll be leaning off his experiences. And as I said, they've got every right to go and see where it takes them. I don't think there'll be any fear the way that Neil Lennon was as a player and a manager. He was very feisty. So I would imagine that his team tomorrow will be right up for it. They're just not turning up to be there for the numbers. I think they'll turn up with a belief that they can at least challenge Celtic all the way. So I think it will be tough. I don't think it will be as easy as people are making it out. As I said, he's got a good team. They're very well organised, and they've got certainly some players in there that can hurt you.
Yeah, I think I don't think there's many managers that will, I'm only guessing, that will speak the way he will behind the scenes. I said it earlier, I don't think he enjoys being an underdog, or he's not used to being an underdog in his head. Barry definitely, I'd imagine, he can speak for himself, would have been the exact same. There used to be guys that take the game to teams, that go out with a belief that if I perform, I win. So even though he knows it's Dunfermline and he gets it, I don't think he quite enjoys the fact of I'm the apprentice, and he wants to let people know, no, hang on a minute, I've been down this line many a time before.
Barry, what was it like to play against? Most of us remember you two coming up against each other. Two of you, so talented, so feisty at times. The two of you love your clubs.
Yeah, listen, we were big rivals, but there was always respect. Paul, there was that was always the case. We had a right few ding dongs. We played in two top teams. Sure. The Rangers team that I played in was a phenomenal team, and the same with Martin O'Neill's team. They had top players. But listen, he was a vital part of that Celtic team, just anchored in the middle of the pitch, and Martin O'Neill relied on him big time. And I think he's took that into his managerial career. Wherever he's been successful.
He sure has. Martin spoke about Neil Lennon.
Can I say something now? It's almost off there. Neil, when I went out to have some photographs with him, he was incensed. Right. He wasn't happy with me for not being here in time, for a start. Secondly, I thought that we were staggering things to do it. It was not meant for this. I don't think he was happy with the master and the pupil, because we're both about the same age. No, we're not. But it's not that. And but the most important thing of all of this, but he's calmed down now a little bit. He's definitely calmed down. So, and it wasn't. I thought we were staggering the things around here, and it wasn't late. And I hate to say this, I'm always late anyway, but it wasn't meant for that, and it wasn't to put anything over in him. I couldn't do that anyway. At the end of the day, it'd have too much for me. But I just say this here, that Neil Lennon has been fantastic for me as a player, absolutely fantastic. Pulled it round at Leicester City when I needed help big time. Came to this football club. I chased him for about 6 months. finally got him, and what he did for the football club here in that time, in a what I would call a really splendid time for the SPL, was fantastic. Then what he goes on to do as a manager here. So his record as a player and as a manager at this football club is, I think, it's unsurpassed.
I like the fact that he's telling us what happened, because you could hear Neil saying a bit different. He was unhappy. Martin was late, but I like that they're being honest about it. It's interesting, isn't it, what he's saying? But that when he joined Celtic, you'll remember, I know you were really young, but it was such a big signing, because I remember so many Rangers had got big people in from down south, top players, the Butchers, etc., some years before, and then Celtic were bringing in the Suttons. Larson was already there, and they brought in Neil Lennon.
I know, yeah, that was it was a different time. Like that was kind of the first. I came over in 2003, just after Seville. Okay. I don't ever really envisage Celtic going back to the level of player they were at. It was, they were proper grown men, seasoned pros, top players playing against a Rangers team that were full of the exact same. So. It was a baptism of fire, certainly even just training with them. But Neil was a massive part of it, and then he became a first team coach when I was in the first team, and then ultimately for the last kind of 8-9 games of the season when he took over as manager. So I've seen him as a captain, a coach, and a manager, and he's done pretty well at all.
Yeah, and look what he did at Hibs, for example.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
When his Hibs teams, when they played Rangers and Celtic, they didn't come and play in a pragmatic way. They went for it all the time, and I don't think Neil will try to shut up shop in any way. I think he'll go right for the jugular. And if they lose, so be it. But I think he's the type of guy that would just prefer go for it.
Would he be in the conversation for a bigger club, for example, Motherwell?
I'm sure he would be under consideration with the job he's done, because when he came in, I think it was halfway through the season, Dunfermline were really struggling. And he kept him up, and then obviously they get into the playoffs. He's got them into a cup final. But they've got new owners, Dunfermline. I think they're American.
Yep.
I'm sure they'll try and back him as much as they can. But if there's jobs come up in the Premier League, I'm sure Neil Lennon's name will be in amongst the candidates.
Kieran's been on. He sent it to us in here. We can see it on YouTube. So if you want to send some comments, we'll read them out. And he's saying he'll be at the game tomorrow. He can't wait to see, look, off the pitch, Neil Lennon up against Martin O'Neill, two Celtic heroes. We're going to talk Rangers. We're going to talk about World Cup as well. And there will be more from Martin O'Neill about, the week that was when Celtic won the title. That's coming up next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
I was about to give you the number, but we're not taking calls tonight. We've got 2 hours with Barry Ferguson and with Darren O'Dea ahead of the Cup final. We're also going to be talking Rangers. Who do we think will be coming in the close season? That came in last night, Barry, Liam Kelly. I mean, there was a rumour going round that they were freeing him, and I said to Mark, surely not. He's a World Cup goalkeeper. I know he's the number 3 keeper. Rangers have announced, I think, an extension in his contract.
Yeah, listen, I got to know Liam pretty well. I obviously watched his career when he was at Motherwell. He was good, but until you actually work with him day in, day out, I was very impressed by him, not just as a goalkeeper but as a character. And they need more players like Liam. And listen, I think he is good enough to play in goals for Rangers. So it's good to see that he signed the extension. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Jack Butland as well, because I think Jack's going into the final year of his contract. So he'll push whoever's going to be at Rangers the full way. I brought him in for a few games last season when I was in charge, and he was excellent.
He never let you down.
No, he was he was really good. Good with the ball at his feet as well. So he's the type of player that is good to have about the dressing room. When things are not going so well, he's always trying to motivate and help the players. And just generally, he's a good goalkeeper and a very good character.
Darren, that's important in tournaments, isn't it? To have somebody around who's got a great character.
Yeah, for tournaments it's massive. But for Rangers, everyone that I'm reading is speaking about that's what they're lacking, is a bit of maybe know-how, character, and trying to recruit a level of goalkeeper of Liam Kelly. People probably underestimate how hard that would be. So not only is he's a really good goalkeeper that you can rely on when you need to play, I do think if he was Rangers number 1, you would always be looking to maybe recruit someone of a higher level, but ultimately to actually replace him would be really, really hard, because you wouldn't just be replacing maybe a number 2 or number 3, you'd be replacing the character as well, which Rangers seem to be desperate to get into the building. So it makes total sense that he stays.
Jack's on asking you, do you feel there's been a pile-on against your old club this week? This time last night, this was released by the SFA, which was really unusual. We're not going to go on about it for long, but there has been a pile-on against Celtic, in my view, since, full time, just after the game on Saturday. So eventually the SFA, having played it to the Hearts chair, the chairman and some others on Monday, and then Hearts issued a statement saying, investigations go on and they weren't happy. And then the SFA said, well, we thought we were going to keep it private, but this is what was said.
Hearts are happy to finish, Don. Hearts are happy to finish. Derek McGuinness has told me they're happy to finish. So they can get their players off. They want their players off the pitch. The Hearts want their players off. Is it finished? Yeah, it's finished. Good.
Confirming the game is finished.
Okay.
Yeah, confirming the game's finished. We're just watching some of the images.
Because the 98 minutes had gone, listen, nobody should be on the pitch. Absolutely. But see, after that, come on, give Celtic their moment. And if players were assaulted, which Tony Bloom said on Talk Sport, then no doubt that's a criminal matter then. But there was no evidence. Well, you couldn't see on telly them. Some of the fans were going up to the Hearts players, which they shouldn't, but there were Celtic players and Celtic officials keeping them out of the way.
This goes back to the Motherwell game, the handball incident. Yeah. And what happened off the back of that was there was universal outroar. It wasn't a Scottish thing. It was universal. There was different people that I don't even want to mention that got involved that have never been involved in Scottish football, which, by the way, is brilliant for the game. It brought attention to it. It just came to fever pitch and it came to boiling point. And by the way, I completely understand why everyone other than Celtic people, maybe Hibs, wanted Hearts to win. I totally get it. If that was an English game, I would want the underdog to win. Of course you would. You want to see someone different. I love Man City, but if it was Man City, Leicester, the year Leicester won, I thought was brilliant. So you watch it. I totally get it. But what I find a bit strange is when you're running clubs and you're part of the actual infrastructure of it, you can't deal in emotion. And I just think it wasn't just the Scottish game, it was the whole universe thing, that it was just out of emotion. Statements have been put out through emotion rather than actually letting time breathe. What I find weird is Hearts did do it and then came out later when you really should have calmed down, looked at everything. It's done, it's dusted. As I said, Celtic won their 9 of the last 10 games. They deserve to win it. I totally get why everyone was rooting for Hearts. That ultimately didn't happen, but this is why I think there's been so much backlog to it, is because it's just pure emotion and people need to calm down now.
Hart's statement then said about the highly irresponsible comments made public this week, and they were referring to Martin O'Neill on TalkSport.
Well, it's obviously aimed at me, so because of what I said on TalkSport to Jim, and if I should really have referred of the word nonsense to whether Jim had mentioned whether the winning of the title had been tainted, and if it wasn't, then I would definitely apologise. Then, if that's the case. So it takes me into a wider field, as it were. Tony Bloom has had some reflections himself to Jim, and he said that their 2 of their players were assaulted. If that's the case, then obviously that would be a deep apology from all of us at Celtic Park. That has not been proved.
I heard it, and he did say it was the tainted word that was used that I think he was responding to in the interview, because he was good enough to go on with TalkSport because of his relationship with them.
I was going to say he's brave going on to TalkSport with the 2
Simon
lads
there.
there.
Yeah.
It was always, they were always going to, it's their job, they were always going to probe, and it kind of ended up becoming viral, if you want to call it that. But
it became the story.
Yeah. Martin's put himself in that position, which, to be fair, he's well able, but it was I suppose it was good viewing for everyone else.
Yeah, he said, look, I understand the emotion.
Well, interesting. I think you're taking the emotion out of the game. And I believe, and one doesn't know things for certain, but at the end of it all, if this had happened, if Hearts had beaten us at Tynecastle, then, and their fans spilled onto the pitch in euphoric glee, then I think I would have some understanding of that. I think I would. It's easy to say from here when it hasn't happened, but I think I would. And also, there's been, I've had some great moments at Celtic and some really down ones. You know, we lost 2 leagues in the last couple of moments. I think there were players there were people on the pitch when we lost it at Motherwell at that time, and so sometimes you have to take it. But again, getting back into the major incident, as I said to you, if it has been proved that the Hearts players have been assaulted, then that would be very serious indeed.
What do you think, Barry? We talked about it big time on Monday night. We got, you know, your
in
your
terms
view on
of
it. Just
fans
Martin
coming
O'Neill,
on.
yeah. And
In terms of the fans coming on the pitch, I can understand when they score the 3rd goal, there's going to be a slight overspill, but it's when everybody starts running on the pitch. I don't know what goes through people's heads at times. Just stay in the stands, wait till the whistle goes, and then celebrate. But listen, it ended up a bit chaotic, didn't it? You've just heard the feedback from the referees making the decision, but I just don't. I think it's crept into our game. People running on the pitch. I don't like to see that. We've seen it at the last Old Firm game. Wasn't a good look. And then obviously I can understand there's emotions involved and there's league titles to be won, and obviously Celtic won it. But just when Osmond, that's the player who scores the 3rd goal, I can understand a slight overspill, but to start running and jumping all over the pitch is a bit wrong in my opinion. But in terms of assaulting, I watched it myself, I didn't see it, but obviously Tony Bloom has said that's happened. We just need to wait and see if that's the case, and then that's a different scenario, let's be honest.
It's such a pity, isn't it? Because Hearts were absolutely brilliant, Celtic were brilliant at the end of the season, and there is the emotion. So Martin O'Neill didn't want to condemn the Celtic fans, those that came on, several hundred of them?
No, I don't think I would. I don't think I would condemn supporters in any way. So are you saying when the final whistle goes that people cannot come onto the pitch? Oh, if that happens and players have been assaulted and they're off the field, then of course then you would have to have a totally different look at it, and I think that you would have to deal with that on its merit or demerit, as it were, as the case may be. But at the end of it all, if you're going to take that out of the game, then let me put it this way: it won't be taken out of the game. I'll tell you something now. I bet you there'll be another pitch invasion in the next 10 years if a team wins a league or a cup.
Darren?
I can bet you in the next 10 days there will be. Like, it's if you go, I'm just trying to think of the games down south, potentially the playoffs, those type of games. Yeah. Thinking back to, in fact, I'll go see if Partick, if St Mirren's they'll likely be.
I think so, yeah.
Going.
I mean,
not guaranteed.
Sure.
It happens all the time. Yeah. I totally agree with Barry. I'm not a massive fan of it, because I think it then. I think it's better when you see the crowd in their seats, and then the players take the attention and there's big celebrations. I'm not a massive fan of it, but it happens all the time. But this is the thing that kind of gets lost. There's 2 different things. Coming on the pitch in elation can be wrong, but we know what happens. There's a different thing then. By the way, I didn't like the Golden players. I think that's completely wrong. Assault is the next level
Absolutely.
up.
Sure.
But you've seen there is clips of 1 or 2 fans, and they're right in. I think it's Lawrence Shankland's in his faces, and they're obviously making gestures. That's totally unacceptable, by the way. Totally unacceptable. So there's different layers to this, but coming on with elation, we can't really say we're all for it, because we really shouldn't do it. But at the same point, it does happen.
And the final point from Martin Hill, and he's been a one-man band for the football club. I am surprised that somebody hasn't also come out.
I think he's just taken that. He's taken that. He's taken that kind of in his stride. He is the talksperson for the club.
And he talks so much sense, but people piled in. A lot of people are saying there was a media pile in again. Do you feel that Celtic are not allowed to enjoy winning the title?
No, I can assure you they'll be enjoying it. I don't think this will bother them in the slightest. And the fact that they have a cup final to come up, I don't think it's taken away from Celtic's enjoyment. I just think there's been a hell of a lot of furore that just needs to settle down. And by the way, just to be clear, if it's proven that someone was assaulted, then it is a different story. But just bring it forward, bring that forward, and bring up the evidence.
Final message from Martin O'Neill. He was asked, "What would you say to the Celtic fans?"
Well, I don't know whether there's pitch invasions on a neutral ground or not. I don't know. I can't remember. It's that long ago since I've managed here, so I don't really know. I genuinely don't know. But if people are coming on to celebrate, then I don't want to take everything out of the game. Of course, if you're coming on in great numbers and people are in fear, that's a different issue. And that's the one that you're asking me to apologise for at the end of it. But, you know, as I said to you, I'm not judge and jury of everything.
Brendan's on, a Celtic fan, saying, should people apologise to Celtic and to Martin O'Neill for the comments, given the fact it was full time?
I'm kind of just tentative to make massive comment because, like, I mean, Tony Bloom's an owner of multiple clubs.
Yep.
He's saying people have been assaulted. You can't just come out and say that. You have to go and prove it and have evidence. So I'm assuming he has something to show. So give him time, and if he brings up evidence, then there is a big problem because players can't be assaulted.
Of course, and of course it could be verbal assault, which shouldn't happen. But yeah,
no, yeah,
it's a
and
very
sorry,
different thing.
that's the next layer down. But yeah, so let's wait and see.
All right, it's cup final tomorrow, where we hope we're talking about the football itself, and also looking forward to the World Cup. The squad came out just a few days ago. See the England squad today. So coming out,
There's a few big players missing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
His mum's not happy. Harry Maguire. See his mum.
Was that
She's
right?
far from happy. Yeah. Phil Foden not in as well. But
Cole Palmer.
yeah.
Cole Palmer, that's right.
Has your mum ever complained, Barry?
No, I don't think my mum would do that.
Your dad,
That's-
maybe?
No, listen.
I find that bizarre.
Keep in the background.
I know.
That's the way to be.
Sorry, they'll be listening in. I'll be in trouble.
If I seen my mum on social media complaining that if I was not in a squad or something, I'd go absolute off my head.
Would you? Yeah.
See, when I see parents
Oh,
or
no.
family and it's wives now these days are coming on. Oh, my
yeah.
God, I can't get my head around it.
Quick break and then we're back.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
Scottish Cup final weekend with Scottish Gas, and they've got a promotion. If you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook Live, you will see a replica of the Scottish Cup there with the black and white of Dunfermline and the green and white of Celtic, and there'll be replicas of this replica of the cup. And you can get a cup of tea or a cup of coffee in them over the weekend. Good idea, Darren, isn't it? You'll be there tomorrow. Look out for yours. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm drinking a coffee out of it, but it's quite cool.
Barry, you've been playing foot. Yeah.
I'm just not happy there's no a blue
right.
ribbon on it.
And you should be unhappy.
Yeah.
What's happened to your old club?
Listen, it's all about getting to finals.
Yep.
But no, looks the part.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be taking that one.
Good idea from Scottish Gas. Yeah, you can get it up
Take
there
the
in
ribbons
the
off.
yeah, in the trophy room in the house, Barry. Your medals. Somebody was on. Harry's been asking Barry, 5 cup winners' medals. He says Scottish Cup winners' medals. When did you last polish them?
I polished them 2 days ago.
No.
Yep, polished. I took
Promise?
them out my mum and
Yeah.
dad's house,
Yeah.
and then I've polished them, and they'll go back up there. That's where they stay.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that took me everywhere as a young kid, so I left everything up there in terms of what I had won and like trophies for like boys club and all that. They've got that sort of stuff.
Have you counted them all? All the trophies and medals and
No,
stuff?
it's trophies for
No.
boys.
I know.
Boys
Yeah,
club.
yeah. So see the Scottish Cup one.
Yes.
For those that haven't seen it, the thing I noticed was small, isn't it?
It is
It's
small, yep.
beautiful,
Yep.
small.
No, they're
Yeah.
they're stunning, especially when they're cleaned.
Yeah.
They look the part.
What did you use?
But listen, see when you go back and you look, and it brings back a lot of memories and just how lucky you were to have a good career. So, yep, I've always kept them up at my mum and dad's. I think that's the best place for them to be.
Brasso? Is that still
That's
a
the
thing?
one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Darren,
But by the way, it brings them up brilliant.
does it?
Yep.
Yeah, good. Darren's it put you in the mood to polish up your medals?
No. I don't have that many. But no, I'm not. I'm dreadful with stuff like that, to be
Are you?
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that I don't value them, but more value just the memories. My house, like my wife tried to put up before jerseys and stuff, and it wasn't for me. So, but yeah, no.
But your club jerseys, yeah?
Some special
Yeah.
jerseys and different things and medals, but no, I'll be honest with you, I don't know where they are.
Have you got one?
I'm the same
Yeah.
with jerseys. I've got nothing like that. I just the medals mean so much.
Well,
to
I
me.
mean, so much your mum and dad as well.
Yeah,
like, so.
exactly, and that's something to always look and think back. Jesus,
Yep.
that was pretty decent. That, but in terms of strips, I'm very very similar. I've not got any strips up or whatever.
And you've given quite a few to charity as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
gave a lot of charity, and I'd put them years ago. I'd put them in frames, but then the two boys were like, "That's like an older strip. Nobody can get a hold of them." So I just took them out the frames and let them wear it.
Yeah.
Better getting more.
Of course. Darren, your old strips.
Yeah,
You're wearing one today. No.
No, yeah, I don't know. Like you exchange jerseys down the years. I was never mad on that either.
Aye, I was the same,
And yeah, they'll be somewhere. They'll be somewhere in the house, I'm sure.
Never swapped strips either. I'm the same.
Yeah, it was
I just I don't know what it was all about in terms of, like, if you'd won an important game, I would rather keep that jersey that I wore than swap it with somebody else.
Did you ever do it?
I definitely
Ronaldo
did.
or something? Yeah.
I definitely did once. Like as in international games was the ones I probably did them in most. But like I see some players like chase players down. I was never.
Yeah.
I actually see players talking on the pitch.
Yeah, it's mad.
2 minutes before the end of the game, swap your shirt. Come on.
I know. Still a game to be played.
He's a
and at half time they do it sometimes, don't they?
Yeah, it's mad.
You're not having it.
No.
Absolutely. Here's Susie on saying, can I imagine your face when Barry said, talking about polishing up the medals. So, don't know what, I think she's a New United fan. She's saying about Barry's medal. She did say that'll take a lot of brasso. Yep.
Got enough of them, yeah.
I would imagine. What about Scotland? What are we thinking then when we talk about the jerseys? The squad came out the other day. We've gone over it. Ross Stewart obviously is in there. I'm trying to think who then isn't. Were you surprised? Any of it?
No, Ross Stewart thinks a really good player. Grant Handy's not played loads, but Steve Clarke he's pretty much said that he is going to be loyal to players that have got them there, the ones that have been to tournaments before. And I was part of the Euro 2012 Ireland squad that went to Poland and Ukraine. And so I can kind of speak from experience of this is I borderline knew I wasn't going to play. But see the people that aren't going to play, they're massive in terms of how they train, the way they are around the place. A lot of those players will be bit parts.
Yeah.
So it won't be just necessary. I know it sounds a bit strange. It won't necessarily be who's the best player. Because ultimately, if you're number 23, 24, it's actually about your character and how you kind of handle yourself around the place. So,
and how did you handle that, Darren? Given that
I knew it because Giovanni Trapattoni, it was the pecking order was the same. I used to remember showing up in international duty, and I would check the kind of team
Seamus
lines
Coleman
from Richard Dunn. Has Richard Dunn got through the game? Has John O'Shea got through the game? If the two of them got through the game, I know I'm on the bench. But likewise, if one of them went down straight away, I know, well, there's a chance I'm going to play. So everyone knew the pecking order. I think that's what he's got in that squad. People know where they stand, and that essentially takes away. People think you need friction. You probably need that more around club football. In international football, I'm not so sure.
It's a great point Darren makes. What you don't want is guys that probably know they're not going to play, walking about with a petted lip.
Yeah.
That creates a bad atmosphere. So if you look at your squad, it's pretty much what most people thought it was going to be.
Ollie McBurney, you feel for him?
Well, he had a really strong last half of the season in terms of goals. I don't think he was too happy, but Steve Clarke explained he's very, like Shea Adams, Lyndon Dykes, they're the ones that have been there pretty much since he's become manager. Lon Shankland, another excellent season. George Hurst doing pretty well down in the Championship. Ross Stewart, I've always liked him, but he's had his injury problems. But now he's back, obviously playing again and scoring a few goals for Southampton. What I do like is, I like the fact there's a bit of youth in it with Finlay and Ben Doak. And I'm delighted for Finlay Curtis. It would have been easy for him to stay at Rangers and get 10 minutes here or a start there. But he's went out, he's played on a regular basis. But also he went to Kilmarnock when they're under a bit of pressure. They were sitting second bottom. So fair play to the young man, and he's been excellent. I spoke to I'd messaged Neil McCann a couple of weeks ago, and he says he's been a breath of fresh air. He's been so impressed by him. But I knew that was going to be the case because what he is, he's a very good player, Finlay, but he's willing to work at his game, and I love that in a young player. That's key. If you want to try and make a good career in it, you need to listen and learn and also work hard at your game, and that's certainly what that young man does.
Here's Stevie Clarke speaking about Finlay Curtis.
I don't tell them, I let their clubs tell them. I just put the squad out this morning, so Finlay will hopefully be jumping around the living room at this moment in time, or wherever he is in the world. I don't know, he's probably on holiday. Impressed when I brought him into the camp in March. Obviously I brought him in to have a look at him to get a feel for the character, the person as much as the player, and he fitted in very well. He's got something a little bit different to what we've got. He's also shown that he can score a goal or two in a Kilmarnock team that was struggling down the bottom of the league. So since Finlay went there in January, along with a couple of other signs at Kilmarnock, the team has finished well. Finlay's finished the season in a great place, and it's nice to have a young one in the squad.
Well, that's important what you just says. He's wanting to have a look at the person.
Yeah.
He knows he's a good player, but the key to this Scotland squad, and the reason why I think this Scotland squad has been successful, is because they're good people. They all get on with each other. There's a good atmosphere about the place, and that's key if you want to be a successful team.
Captain, the vice captain, what a week for them. We'll go to the captain first of all. Andy Robertson's going to be emotional Sunday, his last game at Liverpool against Brentford. What a 300 odd games for Liverpool, and probably the right thing to go, isn't it?
I still think he's potentially good enough to play for them. It's just obviously he hasn't played as much, so I think it is naturally going to come to a conclusion. And it's nice that he'll get a proper send off. He's a brilliant just example for all young players coming through that has obviously come out of a system in Celtic, gone in, it was at Queen's Park, and then moved up the ranks in Scotland, and eventually got his move to Hull, and he's just kept making step after step. And if you actually look at his underlying, probably his biggest strength is just his enthusiasm and his will to run and kind of work, and he's an infectious character. I don't know him particularly well, but I love watching him just because every time I watch him, he's flat to the boards all the time.
Barry, there's been a great outpouring. They're obviously talking about Salah, but the Liverpool fans don't forget Andy Robertson.
No, listen, what a signing for £8 million, I think. An absolute snip from Hull City. Again, I agree with Dan. I like the story where it's a classic case here, a young player getting a knockback so young, but don't let it affect you. Go elsewhere. Went to Queen's Park, done United, got his move down to the Championship, and then obviously he's became, in my eyes, he's a legend at Liverpool. The fans love him. And he's a top player, and I don't think he'll be short of offers this summer.
No, we'll talk John McGinn after the news. We've only got a minute or so before that, because what a week for the McGinn family. Stephen, I wonder if he's back. He came on the show the other night, Barry, before from Istanbul. What's your thought, though, on Salah? He's such an amazing player. The Liverpool fans have loved him. Pity that he had a real go at slot. There was no need for it.
Again, you come out on social media, I'd rather just people just get on with it. And obviously, there's been an issue between the manager and him. They don't see eye to eye. That was shown, I think, 2 or 3 months ago. But then he's come out with another outburst. I don't like to see that, if I'm being honest with you. I like things kept in the house. But listen, he's Mo Salah. He's a world-class player. He's obviously not happy the way that this season's turned out. Liverpool have been really disappointing.
And so has he been.
He has. Yep, he's been in and out of the team. But listen, I wonder for a football player, but I just don't like seeing things like that come out in the open.
Darren?
I actually don't get it from his point of view, because what's he going to benefit from it other than trying to get the manager sacked, really? He's leaving. You just get on with it and actually enjoy his farewell, if you want to call it that.
Motherwell fans will talk about who's going to be the next manager. Jens Bertel Askew, what a season he has had. Barry's often said probably the best team to watch in season.
No, listen, I loved them. I had another chance to watch them 3 weeks ago when they came to Ibrox, and they came away with a 3-2 victory. But the first 45 minutes, oh my God, they were an absolute joy to watch. And even when they come under a bit of pressure, Paul, when it went to 2 each, what I loved about them is there was no panic. No panic for the sidelines, no panic on the pitch. They just kept doing their thing. And unfortunately, they got the third goal to take the 3 points.
News is next, then we're back.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 1717 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Barry Ferguson, Darren O'Dea, me, Paul Cooney. Doesn't get much better on a Friday night, does it? Who writes this stuff? We're here with Scottish Gas, and remember, the Scottish Cuppa, given to us by Scottish Gas to celebrate the Scottish Cup, is here on the studio desk. Scottish Gas will also be at the game, giving out tea and coffee in cardboard versions of the Scottish Cuppa. Barry, you might get one of these home with you.
How many's in the office?
I've got 3 at the moment. Yeah,
we'll be down to 2 at the end of the programme.
We'll talk Rangers very shortly. Billy's been on saying, Barry, how many new players coming in the summer, and any idea who's going to be the captain of the club after 11 years under James Tavernier?
I think there'll be a number of players coming. There has to be a number of players coming in, Paul, and I think you've heard the chairman speak about it. What they're looking for in terms of, just doesn't take a good player to make it at Rangers. You need a lot of other ingredients in terms of personality, good character, and that's something that they lacked certainly since the split. They got themselves in a brilliant position, Paul, and they failed at the last hurdle. It just I think it got to them, the pressures. So that's something that I'm sure the club are looking deep into, and the recruitment drive this summer has to be they have to get the right players in with the right mindsets, because it's a very demanding place, as we all know. You're expected to win every single game. I know that's impossible, but you need to be able to handle the pressures, and that's something that they're going to try and bring in the summer, and I think it's crucial if they want to try and be successful again.
And look at the number of players who've been in loan or whatever that you haven't seen for ages. Cortez, McCausland, Danilo, for
They're
example.
all coming back.
Yeah.
They're all on contract.
So it's huge wages.
Yeah, but it's easy for you to say, right, you need to get rid of this one and that one, but at the end of the day, clubs need to want them, Paul. That's the problem. And I know there's a lot of loan players went back, but there's also there's still a squad there that I think there's quite a number of players that are going to be surplus. So it'll be interesting, and it's going to be a very busy summer again for Rangers, because, as I said, there's obviously issues within the squad in terms of players. So the recruitment drive this summer has to be. It's never going to be perfect. You can't get every single player spot on, but it needs to be a high percentage that they bring in. They need to hit the ground running.
What about Chermiti? Scored last weekend at the last game, came back onto it with a few goals. This is what the manager said before his summer break.
Yeah, no question mark. I spoke on the pitch with Yusuf. I spoke with him, I think it was 8 weeks ago. We spoke about goals, not just in big games, also in the games where you have to score, and it's better and better. Yusuf has quality, and yeah, I think gives me also a lot of hope that he will be there straight from the first day on. I think he needs a little bit time to settle in, but in the second half of the season he made a great job. And when you see after a tough week with 3 games in a row and he's still on the pitch and try and fight and run, I think this is what I saw from the beginning, and now he added on some good goals.
What do you feel about him, Barry? There's so much chat, you know.
In terms of a profile of a centre forward, he's what you would want. Again, you've still got to remember he's only 21 years of age. There's still a fair bit of development, but I've seen enough in him, Paul, if I'm being honest with you, that there's a right good player in there. There's no doubt in my mind. He stepped up in the big occasions, but it's the other games which the manager just spoke about. No disrespect, but your St Mirrens and your Falkirks, etc., they're the ones that you've got to be banging goals in against. But they got him for, what was it, £8-9 million. It was a lot of money. But I think if you work hard with him, I think there's a player that you could make a hefty profit on.
You think he'll be there next season? Or if a big
listen,
bid comes in?
Every player has a price in their head. And if somebody comes in with a ridiculous offer, you have to seriously consider it. It's the case that with any players at the club, and there's a few in that bracket. There's Fernandez, there's Nico Raskin, players like that. If they come in, if clubs come in with the right value, I think Rangers will look to do business.
Darren, what do you make of Chermiti?
I obviously didn't know him previously, and he's come in, and I hadn't watched loads of him, but you saw, I suppose, the stick he was taking. I think that really tells you what, when you come to Rangers, there's no, like when Barry puts context on it, and says he's 21, he's, what is he, 6'2", 6'3", he's got a wide range of attributes. He looks like a seriously talented footballer, but because he didn't produce straight away, people were kind of writing him off. And I say people, whether that's in Rangers, in terms of the fan base, not been happy with him, but rightly so, because you come in as the number 9 at one of these clubs, you have to deliver instantly. But what he has shown is to have a little bit of criticism that he doesn't show up in the smaller games, which is a learning. The fact that he shows up in the big games, I think you can learn the other bit. If it was the other way around, you'd have more of a worry. So I think he could be a massive player. He looks, certainly from the outside looking in, like a seriously talented boy that has a lot more development in him.
And as a talented defender in your day, what do you think of Fernandez? Because I see that Manny Fernandez, his valuation came out yesterday, has gone up to 15.6 million. That's the valuation in transfer market yesterday.
If he was a player that I was coaching, if he could have a tiny bit of the pessimism that was in my head when I was defending, he'd do better.
Right, yeah.
Because he's got all the attributes. You can tell. In my opinion of players like him that have got incredible physical attributes is they sometimes become a little bit lazy with their positioning or their anticipation. I wasn't on the level of him as a player and where he's probably going to go in his career, but I couldn't have defended if I didn't anticipate things and I didn't kind of have the skepticism in my head that something was going to go wrong. If he had just a fraction of that, it'll take him on leaps and bounds because he has clearly real big attributes.
Good line, Barry.
Again, similar to the profile of Chermiti, if you want to build a player, big, strong, powerful, very dangerous in the opposition box. What I liked about him towards the last probably 3 months of the season, he was getting better in his own box, which I think is the most important thing. And first and foremost, you're a defender. I've got my heart in my mouth when I watch him at times. I've got to be honest with you, he takes too many chances. But that's something that you can work on. This is probably the first season he's played on a regular basis. Never played a lot of football at Peterborough. But he's another one who I think's got the attributes to go to the next level in terms of a different league with more money in it, where Rangers could obviously make a hefty profit. But I still think there's a bit of work to be done with him.
Andy's on, a Rangers fan, saying he doesn't think we're going to see Nico Raskin again. He enjoyed watching him. He infuriated him at times. What's your hunch, Barry? I know you liked him as a player and you said, look...
Again, Nico has got everything you would want in a central midfielder. I like him playing further forward. This has always been a debate. Nico plays number 6 with Belgium. And listen, that what an achievement that is because of the calibre of player they've got. But I just think he brings more to his game and his team if he plays in the front foot when he's driving forward, he's arriving in the box. But in terms of him being at Rangers, he's another one. I think he's going into the final 2 years of his contract. He's got a World Cup coming up. He's one of the players at Rangers who you could earn a fortune, a small fortune off. I think they got him for £1.5 million, Paul. I mean, I think I think you'd be looking at 15 million quid at least. And Rangers are open in terms of if somebody comes in with the right offer for a player, they'll have to sit down and seriously consider it.
What's your hunch? Do you think you'll see him at the start of next season? I guess it's no.
Yeah, I would. If you're putting me on the spot, I would say Nico would probably be somewhere else. Now, I would, in an ideal world, I would like to see him stay at Rangers, but I've got my doubts.
Again, you're looking from the outside, but this is what I thought Rangers, when they won the league under Steven Gerrard, made a mistake because they'd got, it's just my opinion, which won't be worth anything really to Rangers fans, but you had Morelos, Kent, and they hit a peak value and they held on, and then they went for nothing. You have to be, especially in Glasgow, when you have to be aggressive, I suppose, in your recruitment. You have to be willing to let really good players go. So I agree, if these figures come in for these players, you have to be willing to say, where's the next one coming from? But it's easier said than done because Rangers are in a mode of trying to build rather than kind of, they don't feel they're good enough yet, if that makes sense. So it's very, very difficult, but I think when the right price comes for players, you need to be always willing to let them go.
You can't make the same mistakes again, Lennon. But Dan's made a good point. Players going in free transfers. If they're going into the final couple of years or even 18 months, if they're not willing to sign a new contract, well, you need to do business. John Lundstrom's another one that went in a free transfer.
Gosh, that's right.
Barisic as well. So there's guys there when they were in when they had 2 years left of their contract, were worth a small fortune, and if they weren't going to commit, then you have to look to do business.
Well, he's asking, is Joe Aribo coming back? I know there's been chat about it.
Yeah, I've seen
what would
that.
you
He's
feel?
a free transfer. Again, he's kind of not played a lot of football, Joe Aribo. I really liked him when he was at Rangers. Again, I think they got him for 300 grand for Charlton, which was an absolute snip.
Sold him for,
I think it was about £8 or £9 million.
Money,
he's on a free transfer. He's 29 years of age. He's gained a bit of experience playing down south. Listen, it's a possibility, but I'm unsure that could happen.
Billy's on asking who's going to be the captain, and I think you don't know at the moment because
I don't know, but I think it'll be somebody who the club will look to bring in.
Lewis Ferguson. I know we keep saying that. Some Rangers fans looking maybe out the price bracket now for the Premiership.
Yeah, listen, he's got a couple of years left in his contract at Bologna, Paul. A year ago, people were saying £25 million.
That's right.
So I think that might be a bit out of Rangers' price bracket, if I'm being brutally honest.
Have you spoken to him ahead of the World Cup?
No, I will speak to him. Absolute buzzing that he's got the opportunity to go. It's been a bit of an up and down season for him. He's been in and out. Italiano, the Bologna manager, likes to play about these teams. He'll play a certain team in Europa League, and he would obviously make a number of changes for the in the league games. But he's played the last 3 or 4 in a row, and he's got a real opportunity starting for Scotland in the World Cup. So yeah, it's a proud moment for the family, of course. Brilliant to see him get the opportunity to go to a World Cup.
The spine of the team, been talking about the changes. They needed maybe a new goalkeeper and much more than that. Who's going to be at the back? But the Scottish thing are people that know the club and know the UK.
I think they need that identity.
Yes.
That's the most important thing for me. And I think that's something that's been missing over the last number of years. I'm not saying it's going to make a massive difference, but I think it's important that you have players at the club that understand the league and understand, obviously, the demands and the expectations of the Rangers Football Club.
And you mean people like Stephen Davis from Northern Ireland, stuff like that. So we're not just saying you have to be from Scotland.
No. Darren,
do you think that's a factor? And Rangers have been missing that?
Yeah, totally. And it's something that I've been open and honest with. I worry for Celtic because they have it really, really good at the minute, but it's all good things come to an end. Yeah. Callum McGregor can't go on forever. James Forrest can't go on forever. Kieran Tierney's been brought back in. Similar. It's vital, I think, at any club just to have just the core of the club and understand what it's about. But up here, the baggage that comes for playing with these clubs, people see I suppose the euphoria of winning things and playing in Europe and playing in front of incredible fans, real passionate fans. But I mean, the baggage is massive. It doesn't exist, certainly for the clubs I was at, it doesn't exist anywhere else. Where you are speaking with your wife on a Friday and it's like, do you want to go for dinner on Saturday? It's like, well, I have to wait to see how the game goes. You know what I mean? You don't show your head, you don't rear your head after.
So if you lose, you had to cancel.
100%, yeah, 100%. Like, especially bigger games, but obviously you'd anticipate you'd maybe win certain games. Yeah, your whole life revolves around it. Even just your feeling of going around the city, everyone knows who you are. It's a goldfish bowl. That's what everyone says. That's what it means. You're going into every shop, and if you've lost a game or you've dropped points or whatever it may be, I think you need people that understand what it's about. And particularly when those moments of kind of turbulence comes, that you have people that understand just to stay calm. And you're always 2 days away from kind of euphoria and you're 2 days away from a crisis. That's kind of the two clubs in a nutshell.
Can you imagine suffering a defeat on a Saturday and you getting out? The amount of looks you would get. Or people would actually come up and say, are you having a laugh?
Aye.
So defeats don't cross the door.
It's warm in here, isn't it? My voice is going.
Jesus.
Quick break. Yeah, I'll be fine in a second. Back after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
And what a week for John McGinn Villa lifting the Europa League, Barry. And there's not many Scots who've done that. When you go over, we talked about John Gregg with the Cup Winners' Cup, Billy McNeil with the European Cup, Willie Miller with the Cup Winners' Cup. Not many others down at...
No, there's no, but what a fantastic achievement. Yep. Remember when he was a young boy at St Mirren, he was showing potential, went to Hibs, and then all the talk was he was going to Celtic, and I don't think they were willing to pay, what was it, £3.5 million, I think they were willing to go to.
That.
What a big mistake that was.
Did you hear Steve Bruce the other day? He said, you know the difference? They got the family down. Stephen, his dad, enjoys, and they took him to the Belfry, enjoys the golf. There you are.
He went down to Aston Villa in the Championship.
Yep.
Right.
Done great, got them into the Premier League, and he's a hero down there. He's a real leader, captain of the team. And what an achievement to win the Europa League.
there's another twist and turn in the story about Motherwell and the penalty that Celtic got, a week past Wednesday. This has just come out. The SFA's key match incident, the KMI panel, they found it was wrong for Celtic to have been awarded that penalty against Motherwell in the second last match. Iheanacho tucked it away. I'm just looking at it here on the Sun. Sam Nicholson was adjudged to have handled the ball when jumping with Austin Trusty. So on VAR, Andrew Dallas and referee John Beaton, they'd initially waved play on. So I think this is when they then looked at it, John Beaton looked at it and he changed his mind. He saw the handball. I think what the KMI panel is saying, that on the evidence of what they saw, it shouldn't have gone to VAR. There wasn't a need for it to go to VAR.
Shouldn't have intervened.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're also saying when it did, it was 2-1, that the actual decision was wrong as well.
Right.
There's two kind of parts to it.
You read faster than me. Well done, Darren. So that's it. So two things.
So
they're
saying the on-field decision should have just been upheld 2-1. But once it went to VAR and they watched the screen 2-1 again, when the panel is obviously three people, said it shouldn't have actually been given a penalty as well.
Yeah. Barry, overall, I don't know who's on the panel, and I think that's the point of it. They don't tell you who's on it. I'm sure they're doing a good job. It just shows you, no matter how many times you look at things, whether or not you have VAR, then...
well, listen, it's all about opinions. I'm sure we've all got different opinions on the penalty. It's just one of the things. When I was watching the game, I honestly didn't think it was a penalty. I didn't. I seen it from an angle from behind the goal, but then listen, I've been in debates with loads of people. They think it's a penalty. That's just the way it is. And now, obviously, 2 weeks after the game, what is it? The KMI panel?
KMI, yeah, key incident panel or whatever. I'll tell you what, we're losing the will to live with the way it's going on and on. The KMI panel has found it was wrong. So there we are.
Thought it was a singer.
Yeah.
Well done. Some great music tonight with Zoe at 7. Darren, what do you...
I can't even lie, because I was live on radio when it happened and I had not got a clue. I thought it was for an elbow into Austin Trusty's face.
Yeah.
And it honestly took ages. And then I was watching on a small screen, and I mean, we were watching for the rest of the night, and you could not conclusively say, had it hit his hand? Then it's the bit of that is as well as I don't actually understand what's the ruling. Well, my kind of thing was, if it hits his hand, is that a penalty? Is that not a penalty?
If it's an unnatural position.
People keep, we all know the kind of phrases now. So it's just so complicated. I totally agree, Barry. It's just like, you're going to get Celtic fans who are going to say, that's a penalty. You're going to get other people say, that's not a penalty. If I'm looking at a Colite as an ex-footballer, I don't think it should be a penalty. But what I think the ruling is, it should have been, if it hits his hand. But then you've got people on a panel saying, but they can't even conclusively. It's 2-1. So it just sums it up. What's the point of VAR if you can't actually prove something? It's subjective.
The handball rule, it absolute baffles me.
Baffled. Yeah, totally agree. And that's the real problem.
Honestly, don't know what is a penalty and what's not a penalty.
And if you don't know, Barry, and you were managing Rangers a year ago, what chances other people got? I mean, people seem to think it was the Trusty thing, and then it wasn't. It wasn't that. That wouldn't have been.
I agree, but when I was watching the game, I thought it was for an elbow because Trusty goes down.
Yeah.
And then you actually see the replay. And
So this is different from the VAR review, the findings that are published. That's the distinction that we're getting some guidance there. I mean, nobody really understands what it's about. I said it was the final piece from Martin Neal earlier on about, events on Saturday. I think this was in response, to Tony Bloom saying the other day about the alleged assault on one or two of his players. This is Martin Neal speaking ahead of the cup final.
Well, that hasn't been proved, and that's a fairly severe allegation as well too. So that's not been proved. If it is eventually proved, and there's been a lot of searching around over videos and things like this here, then obviously that would be very serious indeed. But he did use the word assault, and that hasn't been proved yet. So, but in the wider scheme of things, you're talking about. Would you have any idea how long it took to clear the pitch? What would you think? Less than 3 minutes. It's still, at the end of it all. And you're going to stop pitch invasions. then I think it is a serious offence in England. If it's going to be brought in by the SPL, it's fine. If we're going to do it all over Europe, then I suppose something is going to be lost in the game. However, you still have to deal with it. But it's not the first pitch invasion that has taken place. Manchester City the fans were on the field when they won the championship. Leverkusen last 2 seasons ago, game finished in 89-50 minutes. I think closer to home, I think there was a pitch invasion when Kilmarnock they got promotion. So it's pitch invasions are not new at the end of the day. And if you want to stop all pitch invasions, well, that's up to the authorities then.
And of course, the Kilmarnock one, it was Derek McInnes was the manager, and what a job he did bringing Kelly up, and there was great joy there as well, squeezing the life and joy out of football. Nobody should come on the pitch; they shouldn't, but it does happen. I mean, you see it in England, at the end of the season, the last game or whatever, and it was the last home game there. Look, I get it. We could go on and on and on, but that's the KMI panel says it should not have been a penalty at Motherwell. So no doubt they'll roll on and on. I have never seen a reaction to a Celtic victory or somebody winning the league that there has been to this one from Sky, from the Sky programme. It was almost like it was funereal at the night at Motherwell. It really was the programme. And you've got to have balance on it. And that's what I would say to the editors, the owners. Make sure you've got balance in your programmes, because everyone will see it differently, and always be fair and balanced. And I just think it has lacked that over the past week or so. But it's about the cup final tomorrow. It's what we're looking forward to. Dunfermline. Here's Neil Lennon speaking ahead of the game. He said he's excited about it. And he's got a belief that Dunfermline can win.
Who? Me? I've won other things as well. Like I don't just beat big teams. I beat a lot of teams. I'm not going to tell you that, Adam. How would I give away anything that I'm going to do? It's what are you asking then? Well, the proof's in the pudding. They've beaten sort of Hibs. They've beaten Aberdeen. They've beaten Falkirk. We are taking on the champions. I'm under no illusions how difficult that's going to be, but it's a one-off game, and I think the beaten Premier League opposition has given them belief that they can win it. We're not going to just. It's not a day out for us. Like, I've seen a lot of comments this week about Martin picking up the trophy with Callum McGregor, and if he'd have been here earlier in the season, he'd have been winning the treble. I wouldn't dismiss us. We're the underdogs, but underdogs bite.
Wow. Fighting talk. He's not happy.
He's got a fair bite there, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I like that, but
sure.
Listen, people are writing off his Dunfermline team. They thoroughly deserve, in my opinion, to be in the final. He's just mentioned there, he's beat 3 Premier League teams, and they'll go with a quiet confidence that they can maybe win that trophy. It'll be difficult, because I think they'll need to, every single player that's on the pitch for Dunfermline would need to bring their A game, and if they do that, then they might have a chance. It's going to be difficult, we all know that, but no, he's definitely got the bit between his teeth.
Certainly's got that. Yeah. You know him so well.
No, yeah, I do, but just going off that audio, that's what I'm talking about earlier. He's not playing the we deserve to be here and it's going to be a great day and I want the players to enjoy it and take it in, and no, we're there to win. And I suppose that's the difference between maybe having a manager that hasn't been there before and hasn't experienced it a number of times. So no, I think everything he's saying is a message to his players that we're not going here to enjoy this, we're going here to win, and it's great to hear.
Don't be walking out the pitch at 1:30 and taking videos and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think that'll be happening. No, he'll have them fired up.
He wants to win.
I think it's fantastic that we've come here, but I want to win it. I want to get that into the player. I want to get that into the supporters. It's not a day out. I know. My last game was against Dunfermline. I played against Dunfermline in 2004 and in a League Cup final in 2006. We won them all with Celtic. I want to change that. Desperate to change it. Not just for me, but for the club, the city, the owner. People like John Cahoon, who worked tirelessly. We've come a long way, my backroom team. We've come a long way in a short space of time. But we're here, and we want to make it count. I don't want to be a gallant loser. I found out last week, I still take losing really badly.
What's the way to beat Celtic tomorrow then, Darren? If you were in there with Neil Lennon, what do you think? Because he'll have a plan.
because Celtic, it's really, really difficult to say, because if I looked at the way Hearts approached Celtic, I thought Hearts, we spoke about earlier, did a really, really good job in terms of the first half of the game. I suppose what would be the biggest message you would give at Dunfermline players? There's going to be moments where Celtic turn up the heat, and it's just to try hang in them moments. But I don't think Celtic all season have not been free flowing, and they haven't been performing at a huge level where they're blowing teams away. Invariably, Celtic have been coming from a goal behind in games, and we've spoken about 2 goals behind, so they'll give you a look in Celtic. But what they do have is, if you feel on top in the game and you feel like you're building your way in, don't ever get complacent in it, because Celtic have also shown their kind of resilience to hang in, and they don't worry about if they're not playing well. They just know they've got a moment in them. So I think it kind of is a bit of a cliche, but Dunfermline are going to have to play the game for 90 odd minutes. It's never going to be over, even if you feel like you're doing well in the game, because we've seen it with Hearts at the weekend. But from a tactical plan, I think that he will be very clear in it. But I think you could look to many different examples of teams that have stagnated Celtic. It's a different ball game, just getting it over the line.
Barry, if you were the Dunfermline manager or co-manager with Neil Lennon, what would be your plan for tomorrow?
I would take note of what happened in the first half, the way that Hearts set up, even Trusty on the ball. I didn't think he looked comfortable. I thought he looked edgy, and that creates an atmosphere round about the stadium. And I think that played into Hearts' hands. But look, he's an experienced manager, Neil Lennon. He understands the game, and he'll have a game plan. They will need a slice of luck. Celtic will have their chances. They will have the dominance of the ball. But when they've got the dominance of the ball, you need to be fully concentrated on your positional sense. And that's something I'm sure he'll be drumming in to the players.
Did you do that up against Celtic last year? Leave it with Trusty?
No, I went just man for man. I went very aggressive, because they like to play out for the back.
Yeah.
So we just plot our way, let them obviously feel comfortable with playing out. Then we would have triggers within that, and I thought it put them under a bit of pressure, and they were at ease, because I just felt Celtic were allowed to be comfortable within games, and it was a different approach. It was a gamble. Let's be honest, it was a gamble, because at times we were going to break through our shape, and we were man on man at the back. So again, you have to have a bit of luck, but also you have to make sure your defenders are 100% concentrated, because if MD pops out of position, then Celtic would be in. But also you've got to have an element of aggression, and I think that's what Dunfermline will have tomorrow, because good players like time on the ball, Paul, and that's something that I think Dunfermline will try and ruffle a few feathers, should I say.
I think the team that Barry faced was a team that was coming off the back of taking Bayern Munich to nearly going to extra time, so they were in a completely different rhythm, albeit some of the players are similar. Celtic are not the same team in terms of how they're functioning. So, I mean, to go toe-to-toe with Celtic last year the way Barry did is, well, I know he's obviously leading Rangers, so it's always going to be really the case, but at the same point, it's a lot braver than what it is now. I think now you can be a little bit more tactical against Celtic, because there is players on the pitch at the minute that they're not performing at their greatest, but that makes it even more remarkable that they're on course for a double.
And what you don't want to do is leave space in behind Maeda. That's crucial. If he's going to get the ball into feet, then you need to be real touch tight and force him back the way. But any space in behind, he'll absolutely kill you.
What about Maeda last weekend, Barry? What a defender as well as striker, wing.
Listen, he's the type of player that you would love to have been playing with. He's a real team player. Listen, he's come into form at the right time, let's be honest. Since the split, he scored big goals. But what I like about him is he does the dirty side of the game brilliantly. He works ever so hard. Sometimes he's even past the defenders and closing people down and tracking back. And he's been a real find, let's be honest, for Celtic.
Yeah, an incredible. I actually don't think I can think of anyone in world football that presses and runs off the ball the way he does. He's unique in that way. And I thought his emotion in the last, certainly at the weekend, but over the last even 3 or 4 games has told a lot. I think he's been through a tough season where he's probably thought he's leaving. He's not. He stayed. He's had a he's not had a particularly great season, but what a finish. And I wouldn't be surprised if the weekend is the last game.
And
Yeah,
he's got a nasty bit about him as well.
That was some
tussle.
tussle couple, towards the end, him and Lawrence Shankland.
And Srirachi got involved. It was like,
He's got a wee bit of devilment about him, but I think you need that.
Yeah.
I think you need that in certain players.
So much of the chat has been about the two managers. So the final time Martin O'Neill speaks about Neil Lennon, this is what he said yesterday.
Well, isn't it interesting that there's a lot of people, there are a lot of players that I've managed that might have surprised me of going into management and doing well. And I thought, I wouldn't have been sure, really great footballer. Neil Lennon, what he's done did not surprise me. It did not surprise me. Obviously, he loved playing, but when he stepped into managing and coaching, I knew he'd be successful. I just knew he would do it, because he had it within him. So it's there, it's in his character, and it's there. So that's the final bit of praise I'm going to give him. So that's enough for today. But if you can, I was not playing mind games with him. Not at all, but he was really angry.
He certainly was yesterday.
He's winding him up.
Isn't he? Good stuff, isn't it? And here's Neil Lennon. How does he feel about facing up against, what can I say, his old gaffer?
Well, no, the reality's sort of kicking in there, and it's about getting your sort of professional head on. But it'll still be surreal, really, considering how long I've known him and what he's done for my career, and what influence he's had on me. Not just since I stopped playing football, but obviously during my management career as well. So, I couldn't ask for anyone better to learn from over the years, and it doesn't surprise me what he's done this season, even though he's at the grand age of 73. He's an amazing guy. He's also an amazing manager, and it'll be a privilege walking out with him on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a day tomorrow when they come out. Pep Guardiola came out last weekend.
Do you think you two of them will walk out in their tracksuits?
Oh, great shout. Well, cup final day, it's usually suited and booted. What would you do, Barry, if you were the Rangers manager in the cup final? What would you?
No, it's tradition. You've got to wear
suit.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to. Right.
It's tradition.
Okay.
I don't. But will Martin O'Neill be on the touchline in this tracksuit and change quickly potentially?
He's got that's the way he is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good.
I think he could, yeah.
Out at Slater's, still go to Slater's. Mr. Paul will be there looking after him. Yeah, for the suit.
suits,
yeah. And Callum McGregor, will he be there next season? Darren, a few people are on asking the question. Young Stephen saying, "What do you think? Is this his last game?"
Obviously, I've absolutely no idea, and I said it a while ago. I would be trying to keep Callum McGregor all day long, but at the same point, I can't tell with some of the emotion of the players. Has it been just because of the season they've had, or is it because they know it's coming to an end? Sometimes when you see a player being more emotional, normally there's something up. But because this season has been so kind of chaotic for Celtic and they've managed to get it over the line in terms of league, there was a lot of emotion at the weekend that I haven't seen Callum, Dyson, even Martin, but Martin's obviously in a different place. So, I honestly don't know.
Barry, what's your inclination? I mean, there's so much emotion because of what happened, coming in at the last minute, overtaking Hearts. There was emotion though from Callum McGregor. I saw him interviewed straight afterwards on Sky, and there were tears in his eyes. Do you think he's going to be there next season?
I think there could be a chance that he might move on, but what a hard replacement to find. He's obviously come through the system. Been a really good player, then obviously took the captaincy on naturally, and he's led the team for a number of years. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Callum McGregor going forward.
Yeah, it's going back to we're talking about Rangers.
Yeah.
You're replacing a player that plays every minute. Do you remember forgive me, I can't remember. Was it Auchinleck Talbot?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
he was the only player that Martin O'Neill kept. He made 10 changes that game. Callum played, and I think he ended up playing 80 odd minutes.
Wow.
At 32. So he'd be the one you'd be thinking, right, we give him a rest. Plays every minute. He sets the tone and everything, by the way, in training, let alone games. And then you think of the quality of player. I think it's the hardest. I personally think that's the hardest position on the pitch to play, is central midfield, especially if you're on your own in there, which invariably Celtic play with just that kind of one player. You have to be mobile enough to get about. You have to have a bit about you where you can win the ball back. You need to be technically very, very good, especially at Celtic, the way they want to play. And you need to benchmark it off European football, not Premier League football in Scotland. But then you take that out of account and go, well, then he's the captain, and then he's an academy player. He's got the DNA of the club in him. It's an enormous replacement. So, it will be interesting to see what happens. But either way, I found his emotion. I think that's his 11th league title. His emotion, I've never seen Callum like that before.
Incredible. That could have been the Barry Ferguson story there. You came through the academy, Rangers, Walter Smith, Archie Knox, doing their best to knock the bad habits or whatever, out of you as a young guy there. What were you, 15? You're making the toast for them in the morning. You're brushing the boots, and then you're one of the all-time great Rangers players. There were times I remember you told me before on this show, on the Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas, you must have thought, I can't be bothered with this when you were really young.
I used to have nightmares about Archie Knox as an apprentice. Yeah. But listen, it was a bit of tough love. It was to see if mentally you could handle situations. And you obviously understand that as you get older. Because as I say, like, to come through the system, like Rangers or Celtic, it takes certain characters, Paul. It's not just about being a good player. I think you need a lot of other attributes.
Like resilience.
Yep, and that's something that I think Callum McGregor's shown over the years. You hear so many people saying his legs are gone. Of course he's not going to be the same player he was 4 or 5 years ago, because he is older. Naturally, you do slow down a touch, but he still controls the tempo in there, and he's been such an important player for Celtic. And if it is his last season, then it's a huge replacement you need to find for Callum.
And he deserves so much credit, doesn't he? As you say, 11 titles and so many countless cups as well. One of the most decorated players in the history of Celtic.
Yeah, and I think the one thing you learn with people like this, Barry will know himself, and he was one of them, is it's the humility of them. There's a reason they stay at that level, because they're never quite satisfied, and they don't show that the way they speak. They do it every day. So I use it when I was there with the younger players. Watch Callum McGregor warm up. You've got the line going up and down. He's sprinting up and down that's every day. That's just habit. These guys stay at this level for a reason. It's not Barry's touching it. It's not just talent alone. They're talented beyond belief, but it's a mentality that is different than everyone. And Callum certainly is. He's not just the mentality of himself. He's the mentality of that whole dressing room for me.
Can you still butter the toast exactly right the way Walter and Archie like? How did they like it? Tell me. How did they like their toast?
I had a problem because you were at Ibrox and you had to go up the marble staircase to the kitchen, so you couldn't have it soggy. So you would have to sprint down, make sure it was bang on, because they were hard on you. And the same with the tea.
Yep. How did they like it?
3 tea bags and a big. Remember the big urns?
Yep. Still got one.
Have you still got
No. But see, when you go in the Bentley, do you sometimes touch it and think, thank you, Archie, thank you, Walter. Okay, maybe the Lamborghini. Right, quick break and then we're back. Cup finals next. On.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
Barry Ferguson playing tomorrow, not in a cup final, but you're playing in one of these end of seasons games on the pitch at Ibrox. It's been looking good. It's still in good shape.
No, there's been a lot of games. A lot of the sponsors obviously get the opportunity to play on the pitch, which is great for them because obviously they put a lot of money into the club. So I played last night and I'm playing again tomorrow. So
How did you play?
I was okay. I was all right.
How many out of 10 did you get? 8?
I'll give myself a 6.
6.
But it was great. I had my 2 boys in. They were
brilliant.
playing as well, Connor and Kyle. So it was good to get a run about, and it's good to catch up with the sponsors as well, because it says they do a lot for the club, and it's a good opportunity for them to get a kick about on the pitch.
Not bad on the pitch with Barry Ferguson. I think it was great. I saw the Celtic team winning the league and then going to Glasgow Children's Hospital, which is Scotland's national hospital, and I thought that was wonderful that they were the trophy and all the players.
That's what it's all about, really. You're representing people, and it was fantastic to see. Fair play to them.
Barry, you love working with the wee ones, don't you? And the young ones.
I was there the day there was they had a soccer camp across the road for Ibrox. I love getting in and seeing the kids, because listen, I was the same, Dan was the same, as I used to love kicking the ball about, and then when a kind of ex-player come in to see us, so I love spending time with them and having a wee chat. They ask you some crazy questions, and then getting 40s. It brings back a lot of memories, and I thoroughly enjoy going to the soccer academy things.
Who's going to be the next Motherwell manager? I can imagine Hugh and Stephen Reside will be wondering. So
I'll be amazed if you know the name of the next man.
We didn't know the last
I
two.
think they actually know. The reason I say is they put it in their statement that they're going to recruit the way they recruited the previous 2 managers. So it'll be from data, and I would imagine you'll see someone coming from not on these shores.
All credit to them, isn't it, for the last 2 managers?
Absolutely fair played. And I said it before, and I said it when Stephen was in, it was the support and the fan base have to take enormous credit, because that style of play, when it's getting embedded, can be a little bit sticky and a little bit kind of, don't want to say boring, but can be pass for the sake of passing. But eventually he got kind of certain things over the line. Obviously they'll only know that behind the scenes what exactly they were. But the fans, when I went to the game, I found it really refreshing that when players were turning back out and maybe using their goalkeeper, or they were coming out of situations where invariably you put the ball in the box, the crowd understood what he was doing, which I found really impressive.
They bought right into it. They bought right into the style of play. And as I said, Paul, they were a joy to watch. It was something totally different. I'd watched Motherwell the previous season, and they were decent enough, but to do that in a short period of time, you've got to give the manager a lot of credit, but also the players as well. The players have got to buy into what you're wanting to do, and they've certainly done it.
Joe's on Kerlook saying, can they do it again next season, do you think? I mean, we don't know.
Well, they've shown with the previous 2 managers that they can find a manager that can go and do the job. It'll be a tough ask for the season they've had. And I would imagine that because they've been really good this season, they will struggle to hold on to a number of players.
Just any word? Celtic interested apparently, maybe Rangers as well.
Yeah, I think whoever it is they go to, I think I completely agree, Barry. That'll be the hardest bit for the next manager. Is he won't be coming probably to build on it. He'll be coming in and have to replace the biggest probably players that have performed for Askew. So it's a massive job for someone coming in. But as I said, I think Motherwell will go right down the exact same lines they went before.
Next season, Hibs, they've got to try and follow Hearts. I think because Hearts are now the benchmark in Edinburgh. Coming so close to the title. Tony Bloom said we're going to put more money in.
Yeah, Hearts will go again. They'll. I had a vision they'll be stronger. It'll be more interesting because I don't want to kind of cause chaos for them. But Derek McInnes is not a manager that I would see fitting with Jamestown Analytics for long, and especially now that he's done the job he's done. Because let's be honest, I think everyone talks about the Jamestown Analytics. They've not really. I think there was only 2 players maybe on the pitch and stuff. It's down to Derek McInnes and the players that were there previously.
Braga and
who were outstanding players. Sure. But the point being, as this goes, Derek McInnes probably his say in things will become less in terms of recruitment. And for a manager of that stature, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But the Hearts for sure will get stronger. And then if you took Aberdeen can't be any worse than they were this year. Hibs will want to kind of shorten the gap. So I think the league will get stronger next year.
Barry, we'll do more of this on Monday night. You and Charlie back on for the last 2-hour programme of the season. What about St Mirren? Up against Partick Thistle on Monday. We'll talk about it a bit. But you're worried about the Saints, aren't you? Or
Yeah, I'm are. Since they've won the League Cup, I think they've really struggled. I've watched them on a few occasions, and last night just watching the game, Paul, I just get a feeling that Partick Thistle, I'll do one on them on Monday night. I thought St Mirren were pretty decent in the first half, but I just thought the pressure started to build on them. They started to look if it was affecting them. And Partick Thistle, to be honest with you, I was really impressed. Really impressed. I think Mark Wilson's done a fantastic job this season. No doubt about it. They've got players that can hurt you. I like the fact he made a change as well at half time. It certainly helped. He identified that they had to shore up in the middle of the pitch, get an extra body in there, and that certainly helped him in the second half. And I don't think MD would have complained if Partick Thistle came away with a victory last night.
Great to hear Ian Crocker on that, wasn't he? I think he's a brilliant commentator. I know what I've said, but I mean his commentary throughout the season has been brilliant. Who's going to win on Monday night?
I think it goes all the way, as in I think it'll go even to extra time and stuff. Yeah, I'll go Partick Thistle.
Go Partick Thistle. And tomorrow, last 2 minutes then, Aidan, what do you feel? Aidan, sorry. Darren.
It's fine, I understand.
Darren, I keep thinking about Aidan Fitzpatrick, genuinely, who scored last night as well. And then Aidan McGeady was here the other day. What do you think? What kind of game are we going to see tomorrow?
I don't think it's going to be a brilliant game as expected if you're a neutral. But I mean, I think Dunfermline will give a real good account of themselves. But I do envisage Celtic winning relatively comfortably. When I say relatively, I'm talking by maybe a couple of goals. They won't blow Dunfermline out of the water.
Barry,
I think Dunfermline will make a game of it, but I think Celtic will be too strong. I'm going to go Celtic 3-1
tomorrow. Final word on Pep Guardiola. Barry, it's finally announced today he's definitely going. He won obviously the FA Cup last weekend.
It's been a chat all week. 10 years at Man City. What was it, 20 trophies?
Something like that is.
Just unbelievable job. Look, I know a lot of people say he said X amount of money, but you still need to find the right players and get a system. And he's an unbelievable manager, let's be honest. He's the best probably that's ever been.
Darren, we probably won't see you now until the summer break. Hope things go well wherever you end up.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
And who's going to be in the dugout for next season at Celtic? Do you think it's Martin O'Neill? Do you think it's Robbie Keane? Or too tough to call?
I think right now I'll say Martin O'Neill just because of the way the season's going to end.
Remember to look out for the Scottish Cup tomorrow, the miniature versions and the cardboard cups for a cup of tea or a cup of coffee at the game. Enjoy it. Listen, thank you for all the messages that came in tonight. We're back on Monday for the final 2-hour show with Barry and Charlie. Will Celtic be double winners, or will it be the Dunfermline story? We'll find out then. Have a great weekend. The news is next, and then it's Zoe.